Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Amanda Welsh, a wife, a homeschool mom to 4 awesome kids, and someone who's passionate about the gospel, families, child development, and education. If you're homeschooling or thinking about it and wondering how you're going to fit it into your crazy schedule and you maybe work full time, you're in the right place. My husband and I both work full time, and we've managed to make homeschooling work for our family. I know there are situations where homeschooling just isn't possible, but I honestly believe those cases are rarer than we probably realize. I am a believer that if something is a priority, you'll find a way to make it happen. So take a look at everything you do. Where does homeschooling fit in your list of priorities? And remember, your decisions don't have to be permanent. Just because homeschooling works for your family now and is a priority now doesn't mean you can't adjust and evaluate later. Sometimes we take our homeschooling decision year after year to see if this is still something that we want to do and that works for our family. We've done no co-ops, 1 co-op, 2 co-ops, and now we're in a hybrid program. I'll talk more about that in a future video. So, do you feel called to try this? Is homeschooling a priority for you? Because you're capable of more than you think, and you can do this. Let me get into the details of how we make this work for our family. One thing that I love about homeschooling that you'll probably hear me say in almost every video is the flexibility. It really doesn't take as much time as people think. When kids are younger, the actual curriculum probably takes 20 to 30 minutes to an hour at most. As they get older, they become more independent learners, which is fantastic because it teaches them accountability and how to learn, but also that's less time that you're spending having to actually sit down and do curriculum with them. This year, we've been really focused on helping our kids understand that their education is their responsibility. I think sometimes as homeschool moms and parents, we feel like their education is our responsibility, which ultimately it is. However, something that's been important for us is to teach them that this is also their responsibility. This is their future, and I think children are capable of way more than we give them credit for. We're here to guide and support them, but ultimately they're accountable for their own learning. This is especially important as our oldest keeps getting older, but that flexibility allows us to figure out how to get it to fit into our overall schedule. I think sometimes people forget with homeschooling that you don't have to stick to a traditional school schedule. If you work full time, you can do your lessons on the days that you have off. You can homeschool year round and spread out your lessons to fit in your schedule. We aim to finish our curriculum for the entire year, so we just keep going until it's done. Homeschooling year-round gives us more flexibility as working parents. This is the same thing for our routine. We have goals for what to get done for the day, but it could be in a different order or time depending on my work schedule. So that flexibility is so essential for making this work. Here's what our routine used to look like. We'd start with our morning basket and our gentle and classical board, plus a read aloud during breakfast before I had to log in for work around 8 or 8:30 a.m. depending on what meetings I had that day. The kids would dive deeper into topics on their own while I worked, using Montessori toys and activities. We had a part-time nanny, which was really, really helpful. She helped supervise, especially since our kids are young and need extra attention, and in my type of job is one where I'm in a lot of meetings and I can't really be dividing my attention. On our lunch break, I would do workbook curriculum with the kids, like the Good and the Beautiful math and language arts, or the easy peasy homeschool curriculum for the younger ones, and sensory bent activities. That took about 30 minutes. If my workday was super busy, we'd catch up after I finished work. Or if for some reason our child was having trouble during that lunch break and really just needed to take a break, we would do it after I got off work. I kept a list of what needed to get done each day, but we didn't always stick to the same order or times. For extra learning, I would find YouTube videos, library books, or documentaries that our nanny could use while I was in meetings. We made sure the kids cleaned up and finished schoolwork before TV time. Our co-op was a great reinforcement, and sometimes I'd use what they learned there as a topic to go deeper in at home. I loved how many times what they were learning at co-op would coincide with what we were learning in the curriculums together. Our fun schooling journals were another favorite. You can check out my video on curriculum for more on all of those curriculums that I just mentioned. Now our schedule is totally different. We live in a completely different time zone, and I normally work from around 5 a.m. to 2 to 3 p.m. My 2 oldest are in a hybrid program where they go to school 2 to 3 days a week, And on those days when they're at school, I do school with my preschoolers during my lunch break. And on the other days, I start school with all the kids on my lunch break. We usually do Explode the Code and Math with Confidence, then finish with readings and family devotion at dinner time. I still love our gentle and classical board, so we're thinking of bringing that back in, maybe during the dinner time as well. If you are a full-time working mom like myself, having a sitter helps a lot. When you start homeschooling, you'll find other homeschool families to connect with, and some team homeschoolers may be interested in nannying. They can do their own schoolwork while helping you out, even part-time. At one point, my husband had Mondays and Fridays off and left for work later in the day, so our nanny could work 6 hours a day, 3 days a week. I know this part is tough. Public school does help by watching our kids while we work. Homeschooling has been a financial sacrifice for us in terms of childcare costs, but it's so worth it to know where my kids are, what they're learning, that they're safe and thriving, and that I'm not missing out on their childhood. I can see them on my breaks. I hear them playing while I'm working, and sometimes I can even see them out my office window riding their bikes. It brings so much peace of mind. To sum it all up, you can balance it all. I'm not saying you can do it all. You definitely are going to need help. You're definitely going to have to prioritize your time. And there's going to be things that you're going to have to say no to, and it's going to be a sacrifice. But it's definitely possible with the right mindset and a flexible approach. Prioritizing your family's needs, being open to adapting routines, and leveraging resources like hybrid programs or sitters can make a huge difference. Remember, homeschooling doesn't have to follow a traditional schedule. Find what works best for your family. Most importantly, believe in your ability to guide your kids and create an environment where they thrive, both academically and personally. Stay connected with other homeschoolers, adjust as needed, and give yourself grace through the process. You're doing an incredible job. If homeschooling is important to you, there's a way to balance it with work. It may look different for each family, and it might take some trial and error, but you can make it work. Connect with other homeschoolers, be flexible, and don't be afraid to adjust as needed. Most of all, believe in yourself and your kids. You've got this. If you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and share your own balancing tips in the comments below. Also, continue to let me know what questions you would like answered in the next video. I look forward to talking to you soon.